Have you ever paused to consider that you might not have been born with a fully formed soul? George Gurdjieff, a revolutionary thinker, challenges us with this provocative notion. We must not only live but actively create our souls. This concept shakes the foundations of our everyday understanding and pushes us toward a deeper exploration of our inner selves. Below, we will delve into this intriguing proposal through 7 key points that explore Gurdjieff's process of soul creation, each opening a window to new perspectives and practices for spiritual growth. Each point offers a specific, practical approach to working towards the creation of our own soul, framing a spiritual and practical path that promises profound self-knowledge and personal development. Point 1. Self-observation. One of George Gurdjieff's most transformative teachings is self-observation, a concept that sounds simple yet is a true adventure into oneself. Imagine you're an explorer in an unknown jungle. In this case, the jungle is you. This personal exploration is the crucial first step to creating a soul, according to Gurdjieff. But how do we begin this journey? Self-observation involves looking at oneself with brutal honesty, without filters or justifications. It is about observing every action, thought, and feeling as if we were a scientist studying an interesting and complex phenomenon. It's not about judging oneself, but about deeply understanding oneself. For example, suppose you're in a work meeting and suddenly feel anger because a colleague interrupts your ideas. Instead of automatically reacting with more anger or frustration, you pause. You observe the emotion, how it arises, how your body reacts, how your tone of voice wants to change. This moment of pause and observation is the heart of the practice. You don't change the emotion, you merely observe it. This process extends to all aspects of life, from how you interact with others to how you respond to everyday challenges. Every moment becomes an opportunity to observe and learn. Do you complain when you're in heavy traffic? Do you feel anxious before a presentation? Each of these situations is a personal laboratory for your observation. The beauty of this process is that you need nothing special to begin. No tools are required, just your willingness to see the truth about yourself. And with each observation, you become more aware of the multiple layers that form your personality. Some of these layers are masks, created by education, culture, and social expectations. Others are more authentic, closer to the true self. As you progress in this practice, something fascinating happens. You start to notice patterns. Perhaps you discover that your anger mainly arises when you feel insecure, or that your anxiety has roots in old fears you hadn't confronted. This insight allows you, gradually, to start working on those patterns, not from judgment, but from understanding. The ultimate goal of self-observation is not just to know yourself better, but to use that knowledge to grow and, eventually, create your soul. Gurdjieff taught that the soul is not something one is born with. It is something built with effort, attention, and above all, consciousness. Creating a soul, then, is an act of constant creation, where each day you add a little more to the artwork that is your being. And it all begins with that simple, yet profound, ability to observe yourself. In this sense, self-observation is like learning to read, but instead of words, you read emotions, thoughts, and actions. It's a universal language that we all can speak, but it requires practice and dedication to master. So, the next time you find yourself reacting habitually to something, pause, observe, look within. That moment of self-awareness is another brick in the construction of your soul. And over time, those small observations accumulate, forming not just a deeper understanding of yourself, but also a richer, more conscious presence in the world. Self-observation is ultimately a form of art, the art of becoming the creator of your own life and, in the process, of your own soul. It is an endless journey, but every step on that journey adds a layer of depth and meaning to your existence. And that, in itself, is one of the greatest adventures anyone can undertake. Point 2. Self-remembering. Self-remembering is a gem within the treasure trove of George Gurdjieff's teachings. We often drift through life in a dreamlike state, responding automatically to stimuli without truly being present. Gurdjieff invites us to awaken and live with full consciousness. But what does it truly mean to remember oneself? Self-remembering goes beyond mere self-awareness. It is a state of active and continuous attention towards oneself and one's environment. It's not just realizing that I am doing this now, but maintaining a conscious connection with our presence in every moment. Imagine you are walking through a park. Typically, you might be preoccupied with your problems, what happened yesterday, or what you need to do tomorrow, barely aware of the crickets chirping or the rustle of leaves under your feet. In self-remembering, each step, each breath, each breeze becomes part of a vivid experience. You are fully here and now, feeling how each sensation affects you and how you affect your surroundings. This process can be likened to being on a stage under a spotlight. When you remember yourself, you become the principal actor in your life, aware of every movement, every word, every gesture. You are not just on the stage. You are fully engaged in the performance, aware that every action has its echo. Let's consider a practical example. You are at a dinner with friends, and instead of actively participating in the conversation, you find yourself distracted, thinking about your work concerns. Here, self-remembering would encourage you to return to the moment, to truly feel the chair under you, hear the laughter of your friends, and savor each bite of food. You are not just physically at the table, but also emotionally and mentally present. Self-remembering also involves a connection with our deepest and truest emotions. How do you truly feel about your life, your work, your relationships? These are not questions to answer superficially, but to deeply explore while being fully present. This state of continuous remembrance can be challenging. It requires practice and patience. You can start with small moments throughout the day. For instance, each time you pass through a door, use that moment as a reminder to come back to yourself. Ask yourself, where am I now? How do I feel? What is happening around me? These brief instances of remembrance can begin to change how you experience life. Another way to practice is through conscious breathing. Breathing is something we do constantly, but we are rarely aware of it. By focusing on your breath, you anchor yourself in the present. Each inhalation and exhalation can be a reminder to return to this state of remembrance. As this habit strengthens, you will begin to notice a change in your perception of time and your interactions with others. Situations that once irritated you might lose their grip because you are more grounded in the present, less reactionary. Self-remembering, in essence, is the art of living fully. It is not just passing through life, but actively participating in it, consciously creating each moment. It is a path to inner freedom because when you are truly present, the chains of automatic reactions break. Ultimately, remembering oneself is not just a practice. It is a way of being. It is choosing to be fully alive in every moment, enriching every experience, deepening every relationship, and coloring every perception. And in this full living, step by step, we create the soul that Gurdjieff encourages us to develop. It is an adventure into the depths of our being, a journey that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Point 3. The transformation of impressions. In George Gurdjieff's teachings, the transformation of impressions is a fundamental concept that encourages us not to merely receive life passively, but to convert it into something deeper and more enriching. Have you ever considered that every experience, every image, every sound you absorb could become nourishment for your soul? This idea leads us to a completely new way of interacting with our environment. First, let's clarify what impressions are. Everything you see, hear, or feel, from the aroma of morning coffee to the sounds of the city at dusk, are impressions. Gurdjieff argues that these impressions should not just pass through us like unread emails. Instead, we can transform them into something that truly nourishes our inner being. Let's consider a simple example. You are watching a sunset. The usual way to experience it might be to acknowledge it, and perhaps think it's beautiful, but then quickly return to your usual thoughts or worries. In the transformation of impressions, this sunset isn't just a backdrop. You stop, deeply observe it, soak in its colors, how the sky changes shades, the feel of the breeze on your skin. You breathe consciously and allow the beauty of the moment to fully saturate you. This impression now becomes refined energy, nourishment for your soul. This process can be applied to everything we experience. For instance, when listening to music, instead of just having it as background noise, really listen to it. Pay attention to each instrument. Feel the emotions it conveys. Let each note move you internally. This way, you transform a simple auditory experience into a moment of deep connection with art. Or consider a conversation with a friend. Instead of thinking about what you'll say next, really listen. Notice their expressions, feel the tone of their voice, deeply understand what they're sharing. This mindful attention transforms what could be a superficial exchange into a true human communion. The practice of transforming impressions requires a state of alertness and presence that goes beyond passive perception. It is an art that develops over time, and with practice, you might start with small daily exercises. For example, each time you eat, try to really savor each bite. Notice the textures, the flavors, the temperature. Each meal becomes an opportunity to practice transforming impressions, turning routine into an enriching experience. As you improve in this practice, you'll find that your ability to handle negative emotions also transforms. Negative impressions, like anger or sadness, can be seen not as problems to avoid, but as opportunities for inner growth. When you feel anger, instead of reacting impulsively, you can observe it, explore its origins, and transform it into understanding and self-awareness. Ultimately, the transformation of impressions is a form of personal alchemy, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary and the everyday becomes sacred. Through this process, we not only change how we experience the world, but we gradually change who we are. We turn each impression into a brick with which we build the temple of our inner being. Therefore, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed with daily impressions, remember that you have the option to transform them. Each moment is an opportunity to nourish your soul, and with every transformed impression, you move a bit closer to the fullness of being that Gurdjieff envisioned for us. This is the true magic of living consciously. When we learn to transform our impressions, we truly begin to create our souls. Point 4. Awareness in everyday actions. Have you ever caught yourself completing daily tasks almost robotically, as if your body operated on autopilot while your mind wandered elsewhere? This is a common phenomenon in our fast-paced lives. However, George Gurdjieff proposes a radical shift, infusing awareness into every everyday action. Doing this not only increases our presence in the moment, but also nourishes and develops our inner being, a crucial step in the creation of the soul. The idea is simple yet powerful. Perform every action as if it were the most important of your life. This does not mean you should move slowly or with solemn seriousness, but with full awareness of what you are doing here and now. Consider something as mundane as washing dishes. Instead of rushing through to finish and move on to the next task on your list, try this conscious approach. Feel the warm water on your hands. Watch the bubbles form in the soap. Listen to the clink of dishes as they gently collide. By being fully present in this activity, you transform a tedious chore into an act of active meditation. Or think about how you walk from one place to another, something you usually do without thinking. What happens if you start paying attention to each step? Feel your foot touch the ground, the transfer of weight from one foot to another, the breeze on your face. Conscious walking can become a deeply gratifying and revealing practice. This approach can be applied to all actions, from the most mundane to the most complex. For example, at work, instead of merely completing tasks mechanically, try to be fully present with each one. If you are drafting a report, focus all your attention on the words you choose, how your ideas are organized, the clarity of your argument. This not only improves the quality of your work, but also makes you more aware of your capabilities and limitations. Even social interactions can be transformed with this approach. When talking to someone, really listen to what they are saying, instead of thinking about what you will respond. Observe their facial expressions, their body language, the tone of their voice. This will allow you to connect more authentically and deeply. Moreover, this constant practice of awareness brings benefits beyond the present moment. By being more conscious, you reduce stress and anxiety, as you are less worried about the past or future and more rooted in the now. It also improves your memory and attention span because you are training your mind to focus completely on what you're doing. Awareness in everyday actions can also help you discover which tasks you truly value and which you might be doing only out of habit or external expectations. This can lead to a more deliberate and aligned life change with your true desires and values. Lastly, by practicing awareness in everyday actions, each day becomes an opportunity for personal and spiritual development. Instead of waiting for special or spiritual moments to grow, you find that opportunity in every action you perform. This is what Gurdjieff meant by working on oneself constantly. Every moment is an occasion to create and nourish the soul, making even the most ordinary extraordinary. So, the next time you find yourself performing a routine activity, try applying this awareness. You will see how something as simple as breathing consciously, walking attentively, or listening genuinely can completely transform your experience of the world. These seemingly small and everyday practices are actually the building blocks with which you construct a full and conscious life. Point 5. Connection with the higher self. In the pursuit of personal development, we often find ourselves exploring various practices and philosophies. George Gurdjieff offers a profoundly transformative tool, the connection with the higher self. This concept suggests that within each of us resides a higher essence, a level of being that transcends everyday concerns and connects us with deeper wisdom and peace. But how can we access this higher self, and what does it really mean to connect with it? Imagine that within you, there is a version of yourself that is always calm, wise, and understanding, seeing the full picture of your life with clarity and compassion. Connecting with this higher self is like having an internal compass that guides you through life storms with serenity and purpose. One way to begin connecting with your higher self is through meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. You can simply sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. The goal is to quiet the mind enough to feel a deeper presence within you. This presence, your higher self, might not speak in words, but it can provide you with a sense of peace and certainty that is hard to find in the daily tumult. For example, consider a time in your life when you faced a difficult decision. Perhaps you were choosing between two jobs, or deciding whether to move to a new city. In those moments, connecting with your higher self might manifest as a deep feeling in your chest or belly, a kind of internal knowing that tells you which path is right for you, beyond the logical pros and cons. Another method to foster this connection is through reflective writing. You can take a notebook and write questions to your higher self, such as, what do I need to understand about my current situation? Or, what is the next step on my personal path? Then, write down the first thing that comes to mind, without censoring or judging. Often, the responses that emerge from this kind of intuitive writing can surprise you with their clarity and depth. Nature can also be a powerful ally in connecting with your higher self. Spending time outdoors, whether walking through a forest, sitting by a river, or simply observing the stars, can help you feel more connected to the universe and, by extension, to your higher self. The majesty and tranquility of nature can inspire a sense of awe and reverence that opens your heart to a greater presence within you. Additionally, the practice of gratitude is another wonderful tool for connecting with your higher self. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things for which you are thankful. Gratitude shifts you away from the ego's worries and desires and elevates you to a state of appreciation and connection, bringing you closer to that wiser version of yourself. Lastly, selfless service to others can be a direct path to your higher self. By helping others without expecting anything in return, you align with the higher values of compassion and kindness, which deeply connect you to your purest essence. In summary, connecting with your higher self does not require complicated rituals or special skills. It is a process of opening up, listening, and allowing deeper wisdom to guide your life. By cultivating this connection, you not only enrich your own existence, but also become a source of strength and serenity for those around you. This is the true power of knowing and aligning with your higher self. It transforms your life from the inside out, turning you into a bright light in a world that can often be confusing and chaotic. Point 6. Harmony between thought, emotion, and action. In the tapestry of life, we often find that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are not always in sync. You might think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way. George Gurdjieff, with his profound understanding of human nature, teaches us the importance of aligning these three aspects of ourselves. By achieving this harmony, we not only live with greater authenticity and clarity, but also advance in the creation of our inner being. Imagine you're in a work meeting and a colleague criticizes your project. Your mind understands that criticism is part of the improvement process, thought, but your heart feels wounded, emotion, and you might respond with a forced smile while internally resenting, action. This misalignment creates internal conflict that can be exhausting and disorienting. Now, let's see how we might work to align these three elements. Thought. First, it's crucial to be aware of our thoughts and how we interpret situations. In the meeting scenario, you could train yourself to view criticism as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than as a personal attack. This requires practice and often a shift in mindset to a more open and less defensive perspective. Emotion. Emotions, though often irrational, are powerful signals of what we truly value and what needs our attention. Instead of suppressing your feelings of hurt, acknowledge them. Allow yourself to fully feel them, but also ask what they can teach you. Do they indicate low self-esteem, or perhaps an excessive attachment to others' approval? Action. Actions should reflect our authentic thoughts and emotions, but should also be guided by them constructively. Instead of smiling forcibly, you could thank your colleague for the critique and ask for specific examples to improve, or express that while the critique is helpful, the way it was presented was challenging for you. The practice of aligning thought, emotion, and action can be seen as a constant rehearsal on the stage of everyday life. Each situation is an opportunity to adjust and enhance this alignment. For example, consider a situation where you're planning to lose weight. Your mind is determined, thought, but if your emotions are not in sync, perhaps you feel deprived or frustrated, and your actions do not reflect your intentions, such as continuing to choose unhealthy meals, then you are likely to fail. To work towards harmony, you might start a journal where you record daily situations and examine how your thoughts, emotions, and actions were aligned or not. This self-reflection can reveal patterns and areas where you need to make adjustments. Another useful method is mindfulness meditation, which can help you become more aware of your thoughts and emotions in real time, allowing you to choose actions that are more aligned with your inner self. Achieving this harmony is a lifelong journey and not without challenges. However, the benefits are profound. By living with integrity, where what you think, feel, and do are in harmony, you not only experience greater inner peace and satisfaction, but also become more authentic and effective in your interactions with others. In summary, harmony between thought, emotion, and action is less about perfection and more about the process of constant adjustment and growth. It's an art we refine as we go along, learning from each experience and improving along the way. With each step in this direction, we build a more integrated self and, ultimately, a truly created soul through our conscious effort. Point 7. The search and maintenance of personal essence. In life, we often find ourselves swept away by the currents of social expectations, family demands, and work pressures. In this whirlwind of duties and responsibilities, how can we remain true to ourselves? George Gurdjieff challenges us to embark on one of the most important and enriching adventures, the search for and maintenance of our personal essence. This essence is our most authentic core, what defines us and distinguishes us from others. Imagine your personal essence as a seed planted within you. Like any seed, it needs the right environment to germinate, grow, and flourish. Yet, life often piles on layers of dirt in the form of stress, fear, and conformity, which can smother that seed. The key is learning to clear away that dirt and provide your essence the space and nutrients it needs to thrive. Discovering your personal essence. The first step in this adventure is discovering what makes up your essence. This might include your deepest passions, the values you uphold, and the natural talents you possess. For example, you might find you have a profound passion for writing, an unwavering commitment to social justice, or an innate talent for connecting with animals. These clues help you understand who you are at your core. A practical way to begin this exploration is through reflection and writing. Spend time writing about moments when you felt truly alive and engaged with what you were doing. Ask friends and family what qualities they think define you. These exercises can help you see a pattern or recurring theme in your life that points to your essence. Maintaining your essence in the real world. Once you have a clear understanding of your essence, the next challenge is to keep it pure and undiluted, even when the external world tries to shape you differently. This requires courage and consistency. For instance, if you discover that one of your core values is creativity, you must actively look for ways to incorporate creativity into your daily life, whether in your work, hobbies, or problem-solving methods. Moreover, you must establish firm boundaries that protect your essence. If work constantly demands you sacrifice time that could be spent on your passions, you might need to reevaluate your commitments or even your career. Similarly, surrounding yourself with people who appreciate and support your true nature is crucial, as they can act as a support system that helps you flourish. Daily practice. Maintaining your essence requires daily practice. This could be as simple as making daily decisions that reflect your authentic values or dedicating time each day to engage in activities that nourish your soul. Consistency in these practices not only strengthens your essence, but also makes you more resilient to external pressures. A good example could be someone whose essence is tied to helping others. This person might make helping a daily practice, whether it's assisting a colleague with a project, volunteering at a local charity, or simply listening to a friend in need. In summary, the search for and maintenance of personal essence are not tasks completed once and for all. They are part of an ongoing journey of self-discovery and authenticity. Through this journey, you not only become more yourself, but also offer the world something no one else can: your true and unique essence. And in giving of your authentic self, you create a legacy of integrity and meaning that transcends time and circumstances. Thus, as we continue on this path, let us remember that every step, every breath, and every conscious moment are part of the incredible alchemy of being. In our hands lies the possibility of transforming everyday existence into an extraordinary canvas, painted with the brushstrokes of our conscious choices and acts of presence. There is no greater art or magic than this: the conscious creation of oneself,